Imagine a world where every moment of your day is devoted to the pursuit of pleasure. Think about the promise of constant gratification, an endless stream of entertainment, distractions, and indulgences designed to satisfy your every craving. Now ask yourself, what price would you pay for this? Could the relentless chase for happiness lead not to liberation, but to enslavement? Today, we will uncover how the pursuit of pleasure, as warned by Aldous Huxley, can become a form of modern slavery. We will explore timeless wisdom and contemporary psychology to reveal how our desire for comfort, ease, and gratification might be quietly robbing us of our freedom and humanity. By the end of this video, we will share the most profound insight, a perspective that could change the way you see your life forever. Let us embark on this journey into understanding the hidden dangers of pleasure and how we can reclaim our freedom in a world determined to keep us chained to fleeting desires. Aldous Huxley, in his seminal work Brave New World, paints a chilling picture of a dystopia where humanity has surrendered its autonomy for the illusion of happiness. Citizens are pacified with soma, a drug that ensures they are always content, no matter how meaningless their lives have become. Huxley's world was not built on chains or prisons, but on pleasure so intoxicating that no one bothered to resist. This, he argued, is the most insidious form of control. Now reflect on the society we live in today. From the constant ping of notifications to the endless scroll of social media, aren't we too being offered our own version of soma? Psychologists like Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, known for his work on the concept of flow, warn us that while technology can create moments of engagement, it also traps us in cycles of addictive behaviors. Algorithms feed us tailored pleasures, videos, advertisements, and content that keep us hooked but ultimately leave us empty. Take a moment to think. How often do you turn to your phone for a quick hit of joy, only to find hours have passed, leaving you feeling more drained than fulfilled? The pursuit of pleasure has a dark side that modern psychology calls the hedonic treadmill. This concept reveals that no matter how much happiness we achieve, we quickly adapt to it, returning to a baseline level of contentment. Whether it's a new car, a delicious meal, or even a thrilling experience, the joy fades and the craving for the next fix begins. In Huxley's terms, we become prisoners to our own desires, constantly chasing a satisfaction that remains just out of reach. This isn't merely a theoretical issue. Research shows a troubling correlation between the rise of modern conveniences and declining mental health. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders found that excessive screen time, particularly on social media platforms, is linked to higher rates of anxiety and depression. What's even more alarming is how this cycle feeds itself. The more disconnected and unhappy we feel, the more we seek solace in the very devices that perpetuate our misery. What is the true cost of this endless pursuit of pleasure? Philosopher Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and the author of Man's Search for Meaning, argued that genuine fulfillment comes not from chasing happiness, but from finding purpose. He believed that when individuals lack meaning in their lives, they are more likely to seek distractions, which only deepens their existential void. Ask yourself, are you living a life of purpose, or have you unknowingly allowed the pursuit of pleasure to dictate your choices? This question is not merely philosophical, it's profoundly practical. Every day we are faced with decisions. Should we binge another series or spend time with loved ones? Should we scroll aimlessly or invest in our personal growth? These small moments, seemingly inconsequential, accumulate into the framework of our lives. Aldous Huxley once remarked, "Most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. In the pursuit of constant pleasure, we risk taking for granted the deeper joys of existence, relationships, creativity, self-discovery, and contribution to something greater than ourselves." This brings us to a powerful insight. Pleasure, when pursued recklessly, does not lead to freedom. Instead, it creates chains that are invisible, but no less real. These chains bind us to habits, cravings, and distractions that sap our energy, time, and potential. As we continue, we'll explore the hidden systems that thrive on our addiction to pleasure and how we can break free from them. But for now, reflect on this. Are you living as a free individual, or are you merely a consumer in a world that profits from your desires? Let this thought guide you as we move deeper into this journey of understanding and self-liberation. What lies ahead will challenge the way you see not only the world, but also yourself. Imagine a marketplace where the currency is your attention. In this world, the most valuable commodity isn't gold, oil, or even technology. It's you. Every moment you spend scrolling, clicking, or consuming, you're not just engaging with content, you're being bought and sold. Welcome to the attention economy, a system that thrives on your addiction to pleasure and keeps you locked in an endless cycle of consumption. To understand how deeply this system controls us, we must look at how it exploits our biology. Neuroscientist Dr. Robert Sapolsky, an expert in stress and dopamine research, has revealed that our brains are wired to seek rewards. Every time we experience something pleasurable, our brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter that reinforces behaviors. Whether it's the satisfaction of likes on a post, the excitement of a new purchase, or the rush of winning a game, this dopamine hit creates a feedback loop that keeps us coming back for more. Here's the catch. The anticipation of pleasure often releases more dopamine than the pleasure itself. This is why we eagerly wait for a text reply or obsessively refresh our feeds. It's not the outcome, but the possibility of reward that keeps us hooked. In this way, the attention economy turns us into perpetual seekers, always yearning but never truly satisfied. Think about how this manifests in your daily life. Have you ever found yourself checking your phone without even realizing it? Or craving something, a snack, a video, a moment of validation, only to feel hollow once you've had it? These aren't coincidences, they're carefully engineered experiences. As Tristan Harris, a former Google design ethicist, explains, platforms are designed to exploit our vulnerabilities. They create what he calls intermittent variable rewards, a mechanism borrowed from slot machines to keep us addicted. Now let's connect this to Aldous Huxley's vision. In Brave New World, the pursuit of pleasure wasn't just a personal failing, it was a societal tool for control. People were so consumed by their desires that they didn't notice or care about the loss of their autonomy. Today we face a similar threat. While we may not be taking soma, we are inundated with digital distractions that serve the same purpose, to pacify us and keep us compliant. But why does this matter so much? Because the pursuit of pleasure, when left unchecked, doesn't just rob us of time, it steals our potential. When we prioritize fleeting gratification over meaningful pursuits, we sacrifice the opportunity to grow, learn, and contribute. Author Cal Newport, in his book Deep Work, highlights how shallow engagement with technology erodes our ability to focus and achieve mastery. He argues that the greatest rewards in life come not from easy pleasures, but from sustained effort and deep concentration. Consider this. How much of your time is spent on activities that truly enrich your life? How often do you prioritize immediate satisfaction over long-term fulfillment? These questions aren't meant to shame, but to awaken. Recognizing our patterns is the first step toward reclaiming our freedom. And yet breaking free is easier said than done. The system we live in doesn't just encourage pleasure-seeking, it normalizes it. From advertisements promising instant happiness to cultural messages equating success with material wealth, we are constantly told that more is better. Philosopher Erich Fromm, in his book To Have or to Be, warned of this trap. He argued that modern society's obsession with possession over being leads to a superficial existence, where true joy is replaced by the hollow satisfaction of ownership. What then is the alternative? It begins with a shift in mindset, from seeking pleasure to seeking purpose. This doesn't mean abandoning joy or indulgence, but rethinking their role in our lives. As psychologist Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, has shown, the most fulfilling lives are those centered on meaning, engagement, and relationships. Pleasure is a part of this equation, but it is not the whole. Take a moment to reflect. What brings you true joy? Not the fleeting kind that fades with time, but the lasting satisfaction that comes from creating, connecting, and contributing. Can you identify one area of your life where you're prioritizing short-term gratification over long-term growth? As we delve deeper, we'll explore practical ways to break free from the chains of the attention economy and rediscover the power of intentional living. But for now, hold on to this truth. The pursuit of pleasure, when unchecked, becomes a pursuit of slavery. To be truly free, we must learn to discern between what delights us and what destroys us. The answers to these questions lie not in the next distraction, but in the quiet moments of self-reflection. Let's continue this journey together, uncovering how we can reclaim our time, our focus, and ultimately, our lives. What comes next will challenge everything you think you know about happiness and freedom. Now let's go deeper into the psychological and philosophical consequences of a life driven by the pursuit of pleasure. If we've learned anything from thinkers like Aldous Huxley and modern psychologists, it's this: unchecked hedonism doesn't just enslave individuals, it reshapes entire societies. Consider the concept of soft tyranny, a term often used to describe control that feels comforting rather than oppressive. Alexis de Tocqueville, in his analysis of democratic societies, warned that people might one day willingly surrender their freedoms for comfort and security. This is precisely the world Huxley envisioned in Brave New World, a society lulled into compliance not by fear or force, but by pleasure and distraction. Now look at our world. Every day we are bombarded by promises of ease, smart devices that think for us, apps that deliver instant gratification, and a culture that glorifies convenience above all else. While these advancements make life more comfortable, they also make us more dependent. The less effort we put into living, the more power we surrender to those who control these systems. But here's the hidden danger. This dependence doesn't feel like enslavement. It feels like progress. It feels good, and that's what makes it so dangerous. As Huxley wrote, a really efficient totalitarian state would be one in which the all-powerful executive of political bosses and their army of managers control a population of slaves who do not have to be coerced because they love their servitude. Think about how this applies to your life. How many decisions do you make freely, and how many are influenced, if not dictated, by algorithms, trends, or societal expectations? When was the last time you chose discomfort for the sake of growth, instead of opting for the path of least resistance? This is not just a personal issue. The consequences of a pleasure-obsessed culture ripple outwards, affecting relationships, communities, and even the planet. Philosopher Søren Kierkegaard described this phenomenon as the despair of the aesthetic life, where individuals seek beauty and pleasure at the expense of meaning and responsibility. He believed that true fulfillment could only be found by embracing the ethical life, a life of purpose, commitment, and higher ideals. Let's make this practical. Imagine two paths. One is paved, smooth, and easy to walk. It leads to a life of instant gratification but little substance. The other is rocky, steep, and challenging. It requires effort and sacrifice, but offers the rewards of growth, connection, and legacy. Which path are you walking right now? Modern psychology backs Kierkegaard's insights. Studies show that people who prioritize intrinsic goals, such as personal growth, relationships, and contribution, report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction than those who chase extrinsic rewards like wealth, fame, or status. Yet our culture constantly pushes us toward the latter. Why? Because a society built on consumerism depends on dissatisfaction. If you were truly content, you wouldn't need the latest gadget, trend, or product. This is why advertisers don't just sell products, they sell lifestyles. They make you believe that happiness is always just one purchase away. But here's the truth: no amount of external pleasure can fill an internal void. This is why so many people, despite having everything they thought they wanted, still feel unfulfilled. Psychologist Carl Jung famously said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." The relentless pursuit of pleasure is often a way to avoid the harder but more rewarding work of self-discovery. So how do we escape this trap? It begins with awareness. We must learn to recognize the systems and behaviors that keep us enslaved to pleasure. But awareness alone is not enough. We must also take action, deliberate, sometimes uncomfortable, steps toward reclaiming our lives. Start small. Turn off notifications. Set boundaries with technology. Choose meaningful activities over mindless distractions. These actions may seem insignificant, but they are revolutionary in a world designed to keep you distracted. Ask yourself, what would your life look like if you prioritized meaning over pleasure? What habits or mindsets would you need to change to walk the path of growth rather than gratification? As we move into the final part of this journey, we'll explore the most profound insight, the ultimate key to breaking free from the chains of pleasure. This revelation has the power to transform not just how you live, but who you are. Stay with us, because the most important lesson is still to come. Let us now confront the heart of the matter. How do we reclaim our freedom in a world that thrives on our addiction to pleasure? The answer lies in understanding a profound truth. Real freedom comes not from doing whatever we want, but from having the discipline to choose what truly matters. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." This insight is a cornerstone of liberation. When we anchor our lives to a deep purpose, the fleeting allure of pleasure loses its grip on us. Purpose acts as a compass, guiding us through distractions and temptations toward a life of significance. Consider the lives of those who have made a lasting impact, visionaries like Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, or Martin Luther King Jr. Their greatness wasn't born from seeking comfort, but from embracing struggle in pursuit of something larger than themselves. They remind us that the most profound joys often come from acts of service, creativity, and perseverance, not from momentary indulgences. But how do we find our why in a world that pulls us in so many directions? Viktor Frankl offers a path forward. In his work, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl describes 3 sources of meaning: creating something of value, experiencing love and connection, and finding growth in suffering. Each of these avenues requires us to look beyond ourselves and our immediate desires, inviting us to engage deeply with life. Start by asking yourself these questions. What legacy do I want to leave behind? How can I use my strengths to contribute to others? When faced with difficulty, how can I transform it into an opportunity for growth? These are not easy questions, but they are transformative. By seeking answers, you take the first steps toward breaking free from the chains of pleasure and stepping into a life of purpose. Now, let's address the most important insight, the revelation that ties everything together. The pursuit of pleasure, while alluring, is ultimately a distraction from the deeper pursuit of meaning. True happiness, as Aristotle believed, comes from eudaimonia, the flourishing life. This is not a life of endless pleasure, but a life aligned with virtue, wisdom, and intentionality. But to live such a life, we must develop discipline. Discipline is the ability to choose long-term rewards over short-term gratification. It is the strength to say no to what is easy and yes to what is right. As author Jocko Willink says, discipline equals freedom. It is through discipline that we gain mastery over our impulses and begin to live as creators of our destinies rather than as prisoners of our desires. To cultivate discipline, start by building small, consistent habits. Wake up a little earlier to meditate or reflect. Set aside time each day to pursue a meaningful goal. Limit your exposure to distractions that drain your energy and attention. These small acts of self-control may seem insignificant, but they create a ripple effect, gradually reshaping your life. Here's another powerful practice. Embrace discomfort. Growth rarely occurs in comfort zones. Whether it's pushing your physical limits, learning a new skill, or facing a difficult truth, the willingness to endure discomfort is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who settle for mediocrity. Think about this. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, you strengthen your ability to live with purpose. Every time you resist the pull of distractions, you reclaim a piece of your freedom. These moments of choice, though small, are acts of rebellion against a world that profits from your complacency. As we conclude, let us return to Aldous Huxley's warning. He foresaw a world where pleasure would be used as a tool of control, where people would trade their freedom for comfort and their potential for convenience. But he also believed in humanity's capacity for awareness and resistance. You have the power to break free. By choosing purpose over pleasure, discipline over indulgence, and meaning over distraction, you can reclaim your autonomy and live a life of true fulfillment. So what will you choose? Will you continue to follow the easy path dictated by fleeting desires, or will you rise above, embracing the challenge of living with intention and purpose? The choice is yours. And remember, this journey isn't just about improving your life, it's about inspiring others to do the same. Share your thoughts, your struggles, and your victories. Together, we can build a world where freedom isn't a forgotten ideal, but a lived reality. This is your moment to awaken. The chains are invisible, but they can be broken. The path is steep, but it leads to greatness. Choose wisely and step boldly into the life you were meant to live.